Brilliant.
Thomas and I are just online at the moment. We've been doing what we always do. We've been sitting, chatting and chewing the fat offline, working out when's the best time to bring on the press the recording button. So here we go. I'm going to hand over to Thomas. He's going to tell you what it is we've been talking about.
So through the course of the week, obviously there's been loads of different viewpoints and arguments about the incident that occurred last Sunday with Ant McParland, you know, drink driving and unfortunately, as be the case, he crashed into a car with a family of 3 in it, and the youngest being a 4-year-old girl. So from a moral issue, it's not up for debate. I mean, there's no place to condone that it's okay in any basis that you can drink alcohol or take drugs and drive a car. You know, the weight of a car and its physical capabilities, it's a lethal weapon if you're driving any vehicle and you're personally out of control, you know. But
so to our friends over here across the pond on this side of the world, Ant McParland is a TV personality who is very well known for not always having his shit together. So knowing that he likes a little bit of a drink, likes to party, and he's just had some issues. I'm not criticising him for that because I believe that we've all got issues. They just all come out in different ways. And unfortunately for him, because he's a TV personality, if he mucks up a little bit, it's right smack in your face and in the papers. So he's been in the paper in the course of the last week because he was driving his car drunk and he was involved in an accident with a little girl. And Thomas wrote about it on his page.
Aye. I had a bit of controversial week because I wrote a piece on it that, you know, as Virginia says, particularly in UK media and television, he's got a partnership with effectively what is his best pal, a boy called Declan Donnelly, and they've been at the highlight of British television probably for the last 10 to 20 years. A couple of cheeky chappies. Everybody, the majority of people, it's probably not fair to say everybody because we've all got our own taste, but the majority of people who watch TV are super fond of them. They're funny. They're a very natural double act, a bit like us, and they really fare well. You know, they've presented various different shows. They've worked with Simon Cowell, worked with X Factor, and all these different things that have been really prime time television for long periods. And what's happened is the first point is he separated from his wife, 11 years married, now 23 years together. So that's had an impact. But prior to that, which hasn't fully come out yet, but he had an operation in his knee. He was given prescription painkillers and he became addicted to them. That was the initial story. And that's why he went into rehab in the first basis. Then they split up and then he gradually found his way. They were ready to do another TV program that him and Dec had come back onto TV recently. And they looked a wee bit vulnerable, but they were doing okay. And he was out of rehab and it was going all right. And then this incident happened out of the blue. Now, he's been charged with drink driving, specifically with drink driving, which whenever it happened to Tiger Woods, it was driving under influence. And then they found out he didn't have alcohol in his system. But as far as I'm aware, Ant McParland has actually been tested and there was alcohol in his system. What they haven't said, because it was sort of about 1 o'clock or midday when it happened, and they haven't declared whether it's only alcohol or whether they still had these prescription drugs in his system as well. There was a wee bit of cocktail. But the thing is that what my point was that I made on the page is that the boy evidently has problems. He's having mental health problems. He's, none of us want to be getting behind the wheel of a car, whether you're a celebrity or otherwise, when you're under the influence of alcohol and nearly wiping a family out. It's just anybody with any type of logic in their mind is not doing that. So, but the boy has had reported and covered problems for quite some time. He went into rehab. It would appear to me that they've not necessarily been resolved. It's not clear if these problems are these prescription painkillers specifically or whether it's alcohol. And the point I was making is that, you know, thank God he never wiped that family out. Thank God nobody died, because there would be very little to discuss. It would have been what it would have been, and that would have just took a whole other avenue. He's been fortunate that didn't happen, but it was quite a bad crash. You know, he must have been doing a reasonable speed. His car's a mess. The other car's a mess. He came off a roundabout completely out of control, judging by reports. So, you know, and he had his mother in the car. So it's a really, really awful situation for him. But the boy genuinely has problems. He never got up that morning, or, you know, as many people would have to hold their hand up for. And he's been on the drink the night before, and he's got up and driven a car, and it's the influence in it, you know, the evening before. And plenty of people have done that and wouldn't want to hold their hand up for it. Plenty of people are texting from a steering wheel.
Oh yeah.
And not drunk.
Yeah.
Consciously deciding to text on a phone, you know. And I nearly got into that the other night, but it wasn't the point I was trying to make, so I didn't bring it up. But when somebody was criticising his behaviour and saying they don't really care whether he gets help or not, he shouldn't be allowed the sort of the comfort that he's being shown because he's a celebrity. I don't think that comes into it. I think if you've got a problem, and we're really trying to address people's mental health issues and alcohol problems and how people can help improve where they're currently at, what it actually states to me is the opposite. It doesn't matter if you're a celebrity, whether you're financially secure, you've got a beautiful house, and you've got all the trappings of success in the background. If you've got a mental health problem and you're actually having alcohol problems or any such like, you know, mind-altering substance problems,
yeah,
and you're having the problems, and that has to be addressed, you know. And I really think the boy needs, I think if it is an alcohol problem, he needs help of some Alcoholics Anonymous or people who can understand and really identify with the problem that he's having. But, you know, to discard him that, well, he's a drunk driver, it's well documented. It's not as simple as that. The boy's having problems. And my point was that, you know, I hope that the public give him the time and the same adoration that they've given him prior to that, and trying to help him come through his troubles, because too often, and you know, so many pop stars and people that we know over the last 10 years or so, it's not ended there, you know. Suicide and some of the things you and I have discussed in the past, Virginia, you know, you don't want that to happen when it's a young life, whether he's a celebrity or not, and it's a young life you want to save. And at the same time, that goes without saying that, you know, not at the consequence of 3 people in a car. You want their life saved as well. Because if he doesn't get help and it's not resolved, that could happen again. The consequences could be far greater.
Yeah, yeah. I think people just don't understand the alcohol, the alcohol issue though. Alcohol, so Thomas and I were talking about it from our own like individual perspectives here, and my mum was an alcoholic. My mum's drink issues, in my mind, given my age and my own recollections of what happened, my recollection or initial recollection of this would have been whenever I was about 13 years of age. My mum hid it, and she hid it very, very well because she was a very intelligent woman. So by being a very intelligent woman, nobody would ever believe that she had that particular issue. But what I find with alcohol and drugs as well is you're considered dirty. So if you have a drink issue or a drug issue, you're dirty. You're the unclean, the unwashed. You're not part of normal society. Everyone assumes that, you know, you've got a drink problem, fix it. You've got a drug problem, fix it. It's easy to fix it. And arguably, it is easy, and arguably it isn't. And that was one of the interesting points that Thomas and I were chatting about here just now. So to give you an example, my mum, being a very intelligent woman, I was, as I got slightly older, I was able to see the issues kicking in. I suppose to an extent she alerted me to it by saying to me her famous words, and the words that will stick in my mind forever. She used to say to me, I have this great sense of foreboding. And I didn't really understand that until I got older and I started to realise that I had my own issues going on inside my head, and I would begin to feel my own senses of foreboding. Unfortunately, I didn't get that until after my mum had passed, and it was after she had died that I realised then that there was this thing that goes on. So she used to alert me to the problem and the fact that the drink was coming on and that she was going to drink. And I would always say to her, it's your choice, Mum. And this is the example that we had earlier on. So I would say to her, it's your choice to fill the glass up. It's your choice to put your hand on the glass. It's your choice to put the glass to your mouth and to drink. And just as it's your choice to do that, you can choose not to do it too. She used to tell me that it wasn't that simple, and that there was something inside her that was far greater that was making her do this. And this is something I could talk about for hours, but I think we'll just shorten it down to what it is that causes it, how these people are not necessarily dirty, and they are fighting something going inside their heads. And I think what we need to show is compassion and support, as opposed to condoning people. I am not for 1 minute saying, oh, poor old Aunt McPartlin, I'm feeling sorry for him. Yes, I do. I feel sorry for what was going on inside his head. But I also feel really sorry for the family who were on the receiving end in the car accident too. So, it's a difficult issue, but it's definitely one that I think requires a certain level of compassion. And people are too quick to jump the gun and criticise, and I think that's what Thomas was feeling whenever he put up the post asking people to be understanding of the situation.
I think as well, it's really, really interesting for me, obviously listening to you, Virginia, out with the fact of, our natural communication, but so, like you, as we've discussed, my father was an alcoholic, but he was 2 years sober when I was born. And thankfully he was 2 years sober. He was 42 years sober whenever he died, and never took another drink. He stopped drinking at 28, never took another drink the rest of his life. And I was grateful for that. We were all grateful for that. My mum, oddly enough, who kept her house together through those times and kept us together, kept the family unit together. In actual fact, when my mum, and that's a whole separate conversation, but whenever my dad got sober, my mum had spent so much of her life in alcoholic environments. And Glasgow in those days was a tough place, and for her father had been in the war and come back, and she had a real tough upbringing, Mum, and so here she was getting married as a young woman, the eldest of her family, and she marries into somebody who was already an active alcoholic with an elder brother who was also an alcoholic. And my dad's father had died when he was young, so his role model was his elder brother who was an alcoholic. And so my mum was, she's told many stories in jest, but told many stories that would make you cringe and make you cry. Some of the environments she was in, not drinking, trying to just keep her kids and keep her home. I remember my dad saying to me that he was working so hard. He was always a hard worker, regardless of the fact that he drank on a daily basis. He drank heavily on a daily basis. And he said to me, he was that insecure about putting his name to things or owning anything or anything that could be traced to him. Or he said, I was earning that much money, I could have bought the flat that your mother and I lived in every Friday. He had enough money to buy it every Friday, and yet it didn't have a carpet on the floor. So, that's if you're the non-drinking spouse in that relationship, you could be living in an apartment with no debt on it that's paid off, but actually your husband's drink problem's that bad you've not even got a carpet to cover the floor.
Yeah,
it was horrific. Now, my dad was my hero. He was a great man to me. He was a great man to us all, and and then such was displayed when it came to his funeral. The people that he had helped. He was of such kindness and generosity, emotionally, physically, mentally. He spoke at meetings, literally, you know, all over the world. I've travelled all over the world going to Alcoholics Anonymous meetings with him. And here was a man with all that kindness, when he had drink in his system, wouldn't keep enough money by to just put a carpet on the floor for his wife and my two sisters, as it was then before I was born. That's how irrational the problem is of alcoholism. So, you know, to actually say that Anne McPartlin got in that car last week with the lack of regard for the rest of the living public, that it was a choice the way that a non-alcoholic would make. I'm not making excuses for him, because I've got 3 kids and if he'd hit my car, believe me, I would have reacted with you know, all the same, you know, sort of aggressive fears that have come out from the people on the receiving end. It's not good at all, and I'm not in any way saying it is. But that's how irrational the illness of alcoholism is. You know, you imagine sitting in your house just now, Virginia, you're earning enough every week to pay for that house, mortgage free. You don't have a floor covering. Your kids have got no food. It's insane. It's totally irrational. And that is, unfortunately, the nature of the illness, you know. And yet, the difference of the recovery, whenever my dad was 7 years sober, my mum had a nervous breakdown because she had learned to handle the nest with an alcoholic drinking.
Yeah.
And when our house started to recover, she couldn't cope. Yeah. And then my mum was to go on a completely separate journey. And for that, I can understand where I've never been a pill taker. Fortunately, I was never into drugs or any great desire for it, but I have had family members who have had real drug problems. But there was my mum had a problem with prescription drugs, and that's what then led to it. And then she had to find a road to recovery. And again, you know, my mum then went on to speak at conventions because her problem was for both ends. She was a non-drinker trying to handle an alcoholic husband whilst raising kids with no money and no joys. You know, no, we talk about whether you get a holiday or what have you did. It was enough to put dinner on the table. And then to get to the other end of that, and it starts to pick up. And where, you know, my mum and dad ended up building a house in a really, you know, terrific area when I was 7 years of age. So it was him 9 years sober. And that was my mum just starting to obviously find her wee road to recovery. Mm-hmm. But if you take how short a period of time that is in their life from sheer devastation, you know, and I think like your mum, and not to compare her, you know, a celebrity, but because your mum, as you say, was really clever and she was smart, she was able to control it in her own way and maybe manipulate it to cover it. And so everybody will find their own wee way of trying to keep it away from the people they don't want to hurt.
Well, I was telling you some of the examples earlier on of the things that my mum used to do. I mean, it was crazy. I mean, as I got slightly older, we would go out and disconnect her car because we knew that she wasn't that smart with how the cars would work. Well, I say we would go out and disconnect. I would go out and disconnect the battery on her car and hope that she wouldn't then go out, because I always worried about her doing exactly what the TV celebrity did. I used to always worry about her killing a kid or maybe taking my younger brother out in the car with her and like injuring herself, killing him. And I would say that to her, how will you live with the guilt if you kill somebody else or you kill my brother when you're out in the car, and try to stop her. But she, even although every time, so my mum was a binge drinker, so this wasn't an everyday thing. We could go for 3 weeks and she wouldn't touch drink. I'll be honest and say that it was never much more than 3 weeks, and towards the end it started becoming more like every fortnight or every 2 weeks that she would go on a binge. And a binge for her could be anything from 4 to 7 days. And it would be 4 to 7 days of her being functioning. She would be functioning and she would be drinking. But she was so smart that she would do things like blow on it. So she would put her breath up on a mirror in the house and she would write down all the places that she would stash the alcohol. She would have a book that sat beside her bed, and I found these things after she died, so I didn't find this at the time. I wish I had, but I didn't. But I mean, that gives you an indication of how smart the woman was. She would have a book, and at the back of it, she kept a piece of paper, and the piece of paper would write down where she'd hidden her alcohol. So it would be on the mirror, it would be in the book, and it would be hidden in everything from old bleach bottles that she had washed out and put in the cabinet underneath the sink in her bathroom, to she had ornamental bottles sitting around the house that you would never think to have gone into to see what they were. And she was putting alcohol into those. She was hiding them in the most obscure places where we would never ever know. And we used to see her getting drunk, and I would go round about the house whenever she would tell me that things weren't right, and I would try and pick up all the alcohol and move it out of the way so that she couldn't get it. But she already had it hidden, so it didn't really matter what I would do. It was all hidden, and it was hidden in the most obscure places because her need to shut down was so great, and her need to shut down and to get the alcohol to allow her to shut down was so great that she didn't really care about the ramifications of it. She wasn't thinking practically. She wasn't thinking logically. She was thinking about, how do I survive here? How do I get past this all-consuming feeling that I've got inside me? And for her, that was that. She was looking for her peace.
Which was, and actually just saying all that, it was actually screaming out in my head because I've heard my dad saying it a million times, and how to get the next drink, which is in those moments all that matters, you know. And my dad would say, you know, people used to say to him, even any, well, it was always the third one. See, if I had the third one, I was away. If I had the fourth one, or, you know, I wouldn't go home or whatever it would be. And he said to me, it was the neck of the bottle. Said,
yes, I've heard that as well.
He said, see, when I had the first drink, all bets were off. He said, he used to say to us, you know, he said, I would stand, and he said, now, again, as you've picked up on, which is crucially what I felt towards that young man, you know, after the incident of last Sunday, that you're looking, and it can't, there's no rationality in it. It's not practical thinking, you know. You're doing that to protect your mother and your family and any, you know, another disconnecting their car, because the capabilities of the alcoholic to get the next drink is just there. And if they want a drink, they'll do all that they can to get it, you know. And my dad's the same. He said he was going to work and he'd drink, hadn't at work. But he was, as you say, he was a functioning alcoholic. He was getting his wages. He was never without work. He got through it all. Fortunately, in those days, he never even had a driving license, so that aspect never came into it. But, you know, he was working, they were working in high-rise buildings, and his own safety, it's you know, to actually go into some of the environments he was working in and be consuming alcohol, is the level of danger, you know, it just makes no logical sense. But it doesn't if you're an alcoholic, you know. They say it's a cunning, baffling illness. And what they do is they try and talk themselves, you know, you can rationalise your behaviour. And my dad says, you know, he says, I'd be standing, looking at myself in the mirror on a Saturday night, you know, prior to marriage, after marriage, and saying, right, what I'll do the night is I'll only have two, and I'll try not to get into trouble. I'll try not to get arrested. And he wasn't a violent man, anything like that, but he would get maybe, you know, into trouble for just being drunk or disorderly or whatever. He was never in any trouble prison-wise. But he said they were the kind of things I would be talking to myself before I went out. You know, I'll try not to upset Francis. I'll try not to upset my boss at work. He said, when you actually think of, you know, how off the scale that is, when you're talking to yourself to try and behave because you know what's going to happen when you're going to have a drink. And so, again, getting back to, you know, a point of what the discussion's been all week, I've seen loads of opinions, people saying, oh, he's a moron, and anybody that's, you know, drinking under the influence of alcohol or any other deserves all that comes to him. And listen, that's going to be the case. He's been
I don't disagree. They do deserve it. They do deserve it, but it doesn't mean you can't be sympathetic.
Aye. And that wasn't really the point. You know, all that aspect is a legal standpoint must be addressed. No question in that. But the aspect of where's the recovery? If we are a compassionate race, if we do care for others, if we do care for their well-being, not just because it was your mother or my father, but because it was your neighbour or your cousin or your pal's mother or whatever it may be, you know, people need help, and if help's available, it has to be help that understands the nature of the problem. And whatever happened when that boy went into rehab's not worked. And I think somebody, whatever it is deeper than that. But I think also if he has got a drink problem, it could well be the case he needs, you know, the help of other alcoholics who can really identify the choices he's making and try and help the boy go on the road to recovery, you know, because it doesn't matter what any of us do, whether it's on a celebrity basis or what you do for a living. If you've got an opportunity at a good life where you can contribute to, you know, he's contributed to many hours of happiness in my home. You know, I thoroughly enjoy watching the TV, and so we all do our own wee thing for our living, and we try and contribute to somebody else's life in doing so. Then there's a lad that if somebody can help him and maybe contribute to his life, they can help him find a bit of peace and joy that he's definitely without at the minute.
Yeah. But, you know, I'll say the one thing that I will say to anybody when alcohol comes into question, because alcohol doesn't care who you are, doesn't care your colour, your race, your sex, where you stand from a financial point of view in life. It's out there, and you're only one step away from being addicted to alcohol. That's my belief. And people will say, don't talk a whole pile of crap, Virginia. And then I will hear it, and I hear it day in, day out as I go through all of the nutritional programs that I run. And people will say to me, can I drink?
Yeah.
And I will say to them, well, you can drink, but if you want to get the best results, you shouldn't drink. You shouldn't take the alcohol in because it's dead calories. And I will, on such a regular basis, get from people, I can't give up my red wine, white wine, whatever. But the end result is, so often people say to me, I can't give up my alcohol.
Yeah.
And I have got to say to you, if you cannot give up your alcohol, you really seriously need to ask yourself why.
Yeah.
What is it that you're using the alcohol for? What's the bigger issue? What are you trying to do? Is it making you happy? Well, if it's making you happy, what's making you sad? Is it giving you confidence to go and do something? Well, if it's giving you confidence, why do you not have confidence to do it without?
Yeah.
What's the reason for it? Is it making you sleep? Because you can't ordinarily sleep. Because nobody ever says to me, I like the taste. I drink that wine or I drink that whatever because I really like the taste of it. I never get that. I always get, it makes me happy. I can't party without it. I'm part of a group and we have a good laugh. Yeah, if you give it up, there's every chance that your whole social circle will change. But you have to ask yourself, is this the best thing for you? So as you go out there and you criticise this one and that one and the next one for drinking, ask yourself, have you got a problem? What are you using the alcohol for? Because I can say no to alcohol and I cannot drink for weeks and weeks. In fact, I could not drink again forever if I wanted to. I'm going to chuck a little bit of white wine into a risotto that I make today and all the alcohol is going to come off it. And it's going to make my risotto really, really nice. Am I going to drink a glass of that wine? No, I'm not going to drink a glass of that wine because I don't want it. Does it taste okay? Yep, tastes all right. I'd much rather have a glass of water with a little bit of lemon or something in it. I've not got an issue there that I know about at the moment that I'm using to dull out with the alcohol. So I ask people that same question again and again. If you say you can't stop it or you don't want to stop it, you need to ask yourself why. And if you can't, and you're just doing it to cover up all of those reasons, are you really any different? Are you one step away from stepping into that car and driving that car with one glass of alcohol in your body? Because that's all it takes to change the way that your brain functions.
Yeah. And I think as well, you know, for so many people, certainly as well getting older and getting into the age category we're at,
yeah,
it becomes a sort of a comfort point where, you know, and again, you know that obviously Annie and I do, we take Herbalife and we do all this, and it's the same. People saying, have said to me, you know, when we first started taking Herbalife, we lost quite a dramatic amount of weight in a short period of time, but it was a better nutritional balance in my life and blah de blah. But what we did was a 21-day challenge. That's what it's called, and it's like a kickstart. And obviously, one of the key points is to give up alcohol.
Yeah.
And we've had it, and it's the same as you're saying. People saying, "Well, did you need to stop drinking?"
Yeah.
These are people who are not drinking to any heavy extent, but maybe have a glass of wine, they go home at night, or maybe have a drink with a dinner, or maybe a drink after work or whatever. A lot of people that have got what you would term a drink problem. But I think there are stages where we're life where it, you know, and certainly in some working environments, people, I know a lot of boys when we were living in London, worked in the city, they work hard and they play hard and they really go at it. And some of the lads, you know, they frequently discuss how young they are when they're burnt out.
Yeah.
But they've been attacking every aspect of their life for such a long period. And obviously for you, you know, when you do, as well as us doing, let's say, the mental health, you know, you work some great fitness programs and work a lot, you know, with people who are around your age who really benefit from that. So it's interesting because the detail that you get into is about their personal well-being. And I spoke to my sister this morning, the same thing. Her and her husband are unfortunately separated fairly recently. And the last time I saw her is the best I've seen her looking in, you know, the last X number of years. And I dare say you'll see that all the time.
Yeah.
Where that sudden bolt of lightning to change somebody's sort of direction in life, they start to take care of themselves again. And she was saying today, you know, what do you take with that? And if I was to take the vitamins, do I take that? But she's older than me. She's also looking at, from her own personal well-being, what could I do to help benefit my inner self, to improve my outer self? You know, one of the ones she said to me, which is a real Scottish one you'll appreciate, I haven't had a glass of Iron Brew in 4 weeks.
Right.
Her actual big problem's drinking Iron Brew.
Right.
You know, calories and the gas and all that you have in it. But she gave herself an ulcer drinking Iron Brew.
Oh, wow. Oh, just for our friends across the pond again, Iron Brew is Scottish Coca-Cola, but it's orange.
And I know it's idolised and absolutely idolised.
Idolised.
You know, she really knocked herself quite out. But what's also happened to her, Virginia, is her son and his wife have had a baby.
Right.
And she's playing quite a big role in that. And so what she's got now is a sense of purpose. And I think going back to, you know, where people do, what my dad used to term, they reach their own personal gutter with alcohol.
Yeah.
Where there is no further point that you can drop below. And he said that's what he felt. He looked at his wife and my two sisters at the time. I wasn't born, as I've said. And he said that I didn't want to lose that. So all I had in the world, it was time to stop drinking. And so that's when their life started to obviously move in a different direction. And I think, you know, that my sister said one in an unfortunate sense because it was out with her control, her and her husband. And then here's this gift came along, this wee baby, to fill probably a void. But all she spoke to me today was about a personal, you know, if I'm just a wee bit fitter and if I'm doing this and if I take that, would that help? But actually I can see it's her excitement around her grandchild. She wants to be a healthy grandmother. She wants to contribute to her grandchild, you know, growing up.
Yeah.
She wants to look after herself at her age. And I think, again, that's another aspect of what we do, where you know, you look at your own personal physical state, you look at your emotional and mental state. And you said when we were offline earlier on, where sometimes if you're, you know, have any tendencies or feelings where you're not feeling great, you bring it in a check. And you've got such a strong sense of personal discipline, mentally and physically. But it's actually been able to share that on to people as well, so that people can know when they're starting to, you know, as you said, you could see the change coming over your mum, and there was just nothing to draw the line to bring it back into line for in this different era. You know, it's really tough for people, you know, and it's a situation that it's not as easily to solve as we often would wish without proper help, you know.
No, absolutely. I totally agree with that. I totally do. But just for us to wind up in the call, because Thomas and I have been sitting here talking about alcoholism from our own point of view, but I just want to say for the people who are listening into this, if you're having that Friday night drink and you're out partying and you have your 3 bottles of beer, your 3 bottles of wine, or 3 bottles of wine, 3 glasses of wine, sorry, so let's just say 3 bottles of beer, or you have 3 glasses of wine, and you're out late at night, you're partying, you only have that little amount of alcohol, and you get up the next morning and you take your kids to swimming or whatever other activity they've got, you're driving under the influence. That's all I'm going to say. And we will sign off on this one. And just remember, Thomas and I are in this just now. We're helping you guys. If you want to reach out to us, to speak to us about this, we're not psychologists, we're not doctors. But sometimes I think it helps to talk to people who've just been through it. We're going to be doing programs to help you guys. So reach out to us, talk to us. We'll get you on our email list, and when the programs are ready to go live, we will let you know. So that's us for today, and we'll catch up with you again next week.
Brilliant. Thanks, Virginia.